So I have these in-laws who just lost everything, and I am married to their daughter Roxy. She's the love of my life, and I would do anything for her. So I went and built them a guest house. I put it on our property and I allowed them to live there. What I was not expecting was father-in-law to overstep his boundaries. He was having large parties, very loud into the night, and yeah, he's in his 60s. It's not stopping him from partying, even though he should probably be looking at a way to make some money since he's in debt. Anyways, that's beside the point. When I confronted him, he told my wife, Roxy, his daughter, that I said some very, very vile things to him, which, by the way, is not true. And Roxy actually believed him, and you won't believe what she said to me. When I decided to help my wife's parents, I fully believed that my relationship with them was going to get a lot better. I believe that the in-laws, who have never liked me, would finally see me in a different light. And why would they not? I was helping them go through a tough time. No matter how much they disliked me, any normal human being would start liking a person who helped them during their downfall. Turns out, even after years of knowing them, I never figured out what kind of people my in-laws are. I say this because the complete opposite of what I'd hoped for is happening right now, and I don't know what to do. Hey guys, I'm Axel, and I've put myself in quite the predicament. It's not like I really had a choice, as you'll soon find out, but it still feels like I did this to myself, and now I don't know how to come out of it, so let me give you guys a bit of context, yeah? I live with my wife Roxy, and until a few weeks ago I was very happy. I do have a blessed life, as I have a great job and an amazing partner. I became financially secure many years ago, and that was kind of the last of my big problems. Obviously, there's still challenges to life, but the problem I face now are nothing compared to how life was in my 20s. I come from a middle-class family, so we did not have much growing up. But I have to say that even in this position they were in, my parents did their best to give me everything I needed to make it in life. I'm very grateful that I got to have supportive, loving parents like them, and I just wish that they could be here now. See, they passed away before I got married to Roxy. I definitely would not have made it without their hard work and sacrifice, and it's not really that important to the issue, but I just felt like talking about my parents a little. I do apologize for the tangent. Right before my parents passed, I was going through a lot because my in-laws were refusing to let me marry my now wife. From the first time I met them both, John and Sarah, father-in-law and mother-in-law, never really liked me for reasons they never said, but I kind of knew why. See, Roxy comes from quite a rich family, at least a lot richer than me. John and Sarah were kind of wealthy, and obviously they did not like the fact that their daughter was in love with a nobody. Both of them had the rich people's ego, which most people absolutely hate. But I guess it comes free after you earn a certain amount of money. I understood this and never took their attitude to heart. I always was kind to them and was always patient, as I believed that in time they would come around and see the truth. That nobody would love their daughter more than me, and that I would always keep her happy. Also, I tried to show them that I had a great future ahead of me, but they never cared enough or just never trusted that I would make it. They treated me like I was only in this to have a share of their wealth, which I never wanted or asked for. I never did anything to make them feel that I was in this for the money. But they never trusted me, and never treated me with respect. When I called John to ask for permission before getting engaged, he straight up said no. When I did it anyways, Roxy told me that her father had already told her that I was about to do this. She said yes, but also apologized as my surprise was gone. I had a big argument with John for trying to get her to say no and ruining my surprise. Both John and Sarah tried their best to get their daughter to not marry me, but it didn't work. They even threatened to cut Roxy off, but both of us were making good enough money to support each other, so we just went ahead with it. But before we could get married, my parents passed away, and Roxy supported me through all this. After that, we got married, and even though Roxy maintained a relationship with her parents, they rarely ever spoke to me. At least until recently. As you well know, after that I became wealthy too, but this did not change anything. My in-laws never viewed me any different. Honestly, if I still had my parents, I would not have cared, but other than Roxy, they're my only family. So I still, from time to time, tried to get them to like me. And now let's come to what happened recently. It wasn't just one small wrong decision and my in-laws made. It was a series of worse and worse decisions over the course of many years. This led to them losing almost all of the money they had made. They only told us about it a few months ago when they were close to losing everything, even their house. I tried, but I could not help them keep the house, as it's a really big one, and even though I'm doing fine, I'm not rich. Even when my in-laws were going through all this, they were still pretty confident, and they even kept refusing my help. But when they could not save the house, even with my help, and their friends all left them, they quickly learned that family was the only one who would help back them. So, John and Sarah then came to our house to ask me for help, and I happily let them in. Believe me, I could have been a bit rude or a bit sarcastic to them about needing my help after everything they did to me, but I was not. At the end of the day, I looked at them as my family, and I felt this was a great opportunity to build a better relationship. Roxy was very happy with my decision too, so it was a win-win. They stayed at my place until the luxury guest house I was building on my property was completed. Then they moved there, and we've been living close by since. At the start, everything was fine. I believe that since both of them did not like me much, they would do their best to move out as soon as possible. But they didn't want to. I didn't mind having them around either. I knew it made Roxy happy, so I was happy too. But then things started to go bad. For the past few months, I've been working from home, which is another long thing to explain. So I just take my word for it, please. And for the past few weeks, I've had a really hard time working. My in-laws keep throwing parties and acting like they own the whole place, and at first, they were a bit nicer and kinder to me, and it felt like they now respected me. But now, all of that was gone down the drain, and they've gone back to being how they were living on my property. Many times I've asked them not to do something for a while, and they specifically do it just to show me they don't care. I think my in-laws now respect me less than they used to. I don't know what to do. They'll just do whatever they feel like and have stopped even asking me before changing things even in my own house. They've started treating my house like their second home, and no matter what I say, they just don't listen to it. I don't want to complain to Roxy because I don't want to make her feel that her parents are a burden on me. She has seen how they've treated me in the past and is happy that we're finally mixing, and her parents keep telling her they have no problem with me. So obviously, I don't want to be the one with the problem, but it's getting to be too much. A few days ago, I had a meeting and asked my in-laws to not do anything close to my home. Not only did they play loud music, which is an absurd thing of people over 60 to do, but many people just entered my house and started going through my things. When I came out of my room and asked them to get out, they told me to drop the attitude. Turns out John and Sarah are telling their friends that they gifted me this whole property when I got married. So they're going around telling everyone that everything I've built is theirs. I still kicked them out and have not spoken to my in-laws since. I'm angry and afraid that I might get into a big argument and say hurtful things to them. I don't know if I should talk to Roxy or do something about this myself, but I can't take all this any longer. But I'm the one who put myself in this position. So guys, please help me. Give me some advice. I could really use it. Update number 1. Well, it's been almost a week since I asked you guys for a little bit of help, and I've done something I probably should not have done. I'm currently regretting my decision. When I wrote the post, I did not expect to get even a few responses, let alone several people trying to help me. So I want to start this by saying I'm very thankful for your responses. Now let me just tell you what happened. So, as you probably remember, I was very confused when I wrote my post, as I had no idea what I was supposed to do. For a few days after the post, the confusion did not end. Honestly, I was slowly falling towards just telling my wife everything, but lately, Roxy had been so happy that I did not feel like being an a-hole about her parents not listening to me. She had just believed that they were being nice to me. Well, and I did not want her to find out, but they had gone back to who they were before. And I especially didn't want her to know that I was seriously regretting helping her parents. I knew it was going to make her sad, so I just hoped that I could solve all this myself, but I was wrong. And honestly, I should have just told everything to her because now things have gotten so much worse. Up until yesterday, I was still thinking about what I was going to do. I decided that I should just speak to my father-in-law John and genuinely ask him to stop. I thought that if I just requested, even though I didn't have to, he would listen to me. But before I could, he threw another party, and I had an online presentation that did not go well because I was so distracted. After I was done with work, I stopped the party and asked all the others to go home. John did not like that and asked me, "What the hell am I doing?" Well, at this point I was really annoyed, but I still tried to remain calm. I asked him to stop doing this just to annoy me, and I told John that I wanted to have a good relationship with him and Sarah. I didn't want to argue with any of them, they were family to me. So I requested him to just not do all this when I asked him to, and he said that he was going to do whatever he wanted whenever he felt like it. I told him that I was asking him to just do a small thing, and he said that I was in no position to ask him anything and I wasn't family to him. Well, this made me mad, so I told him that I was the only reason they still had a roof above their head, and if they kept treating me like this, then they would have to go somewhere else. Well, this one got to him and he was fuming. We then got into a heated argument as he kept asking how dare I say that to him. I kept reminding him that none of his friends came to help him, and I was the last remaining one. He kept saying he and mother-in-law were only here because of Roxy and they didn't want my help. He then kept trying to make me feel small, which made me even mad, so I snapped and told him to do what I wanted or get out of my home. I told him both mother-in-law and he would be sleeping on the road if they didn't listen to me. Before he could respond, I went back inside. Yesterday, my wife did not come home as she's staying with her friend, but this afternoon she's going to return. I don't know how to tell her all this. I'm scared that she's going to be mad at me for saying all this to her parents. But, well, they're in the wrong, aren't they? Updates number 2. Hey everybody, well, I'm here for an update. It's been 2 weeks and I wish I could say things are going better for me, but they are not, so let me explain. If you remember my last update, I mentioned that I had a huge argument with my father-in-law and asked him to either listen to me or beat the road. Then I was waiting for my wife to explain everything to her. Several hours go by after my update and she comes home, but she didn't let me explain anything. Turns out her parents had called her and told their version of the event to her before she got here. They wanted her completely against me, and I actually thought this might work, but I told myself that my wife would believe me if I told her the honest truth. But as you might have guessed it did not go that way. Roxy came back home and was so angry with me. I guessed that she had spoken to her parents, so I asked her to hear me out first, but she immediately blasted me in the face and told me if I hated them so much, why did I agree to help them in the first place? She asked me why I pretended to like them. Was it just to humiliate them? I told her I didn't do anything like that, and I just asked John to respect the boundary I wanted him to. I explained to her that he was disrupting me doing work, and I asked him to not party on some days, and before I could even complete what I was saying, she asked me to stop with the lies. She told me that her parents had swallowed their pride and accepted help from me, and she believed that it was going to change our relationship for the better. But she had no idea that I hated them. I told her I didn't hate them. Even after all they did, I still did not hate them, and I thought of them as my family. She asked me if that was the case, why had I threatened to kick them out and make them sleep on the street? I told her I could explain, but she just said no. Turns out John told her that I had stopped the party, and in front of everybody I insulted him. Well, she said that her dad had told a few people that a part of this property was his because he was embarrassed by everything that happened, and he didn't want other people to pity him. But I also could not take that because according to what he told Roxy, I had in front of everyone threatened to kick him out of my property. I explained to everybody how they had gotten in trouble and came to me begging for help, after which I decided to give them a helping hand. Her parents told her that they were incredibly hurt by all this and were thinking of moving out. So obviously after hearing a lie like that, my wife was fuming. I tried to explain, but when she didn't listen, I decided to just stay silent. This went on for over a week and she didn't speak to me either. I was suffering because I knew it was not her fault, and I apologized and told her that I had gotten angry, but it was her parents' fault too. Then she only agreed to speak to me if I apologized to her parents and promised to never threaten them again. I didn't want to, but I had to. So right in front of Roxy, I apologized to both John and Sarah. Father-in-law was especially happy. Update number 3. My in-laws have officially lost their damn marbles. They're trying to convince my wife to divorce me, and it's only been a week since I last wrote here. And so much has happened, I don't even know where to start. I guess I should start from where I left off. So I'm sure by now you know that my in-laws did not change their behavior at all. Instead, they actually got worse after I apologized. I think they felt that after what happened last time, I would not be able to do anything to them anymore. They became more disrespectful and completely stopped caring about what I wanted. I kept quiet because I was just collecting more and more evidence to show my wife. But one day I got frustrated and kicked John out, who was trying to do something in my home. I asked him to go back to the guest house, and I think this really made him mad because immediately the next day he came to my place and asked me something unbelievably absurd. He asked me to empty my own home and give it to him and Sarah. He said that they felt that the guest house was too small and they wanted me to give them the whole property. He said I had my parents' home to move into for the time being, and as soon as he asked me to move out, I started recording our convo. I was shocked by his confidently asking me to leave my own home. I couldn't say anything. Then I told him that this was my home that I built myself. Why the hell would I leave? He then proceeded to show me some fake paper that he made from probably, I don't know, someone he knew. Even though I knew the papers were fake, they did look legit. Somebody who knows what they're doing made this for him, but I pretended not to notice how good they looked and just laughed and laughed and laughed. The papers said that I had given him and mother-in-law all of this property, and said that he was going to use it to kick me out. He even said that if he had to, he would kick my wife out with me too if she doesn't listen to him. I then told him that I was not just going to sit here and take all this while he tried to kick me out of my own place. So I told him. He has till the end of the week to get off my property, or I'm going to drag him and mother-in-law out. He then said that he was going to see how his daughter feels about that. The day before yesterday, Roxy came home, and before I could say anything, packed her bags and moved into the guest house with her parents. I'd guessed something like this might happen. For the last 2 days, I've been trying to convince her to listen. She's angry, and she thinks that I'm just getting mad at her dad and asked him to get out. I have the recording. I have other proof. So I'm confident that I can easily get her on my side. She just has to listen to me. One time. I obviously cannot do it in front of her parents, and that's because I have a plan. I don't want them here anymore. I'm done tolerating it, and they don't deserve both me and Roxy's love. A few hours ago, I found out that they're trying to get Roxy to divorce me. They probably think that they scare me with the threat of divorce by manipulating Roxy, and they can just get what they want, but they have no idea that their manipulation is not going to work on Roxy anymore. Updates number 4. Hello guys, I know it's been a few weeks, and I'm sorry, but I do finally have a positive update. This is all going to be my last update, so let me get with it. After my last post, I had to do was something of convincing Roxy, because I needed her to be on my side. Honestly, if it actually came down to getting divorced or giving my in-laws the house, I would rather give them the home. That's how much I love Roxy. But all of this also told me how little my in-laws cared about both of us. Of course, they don't care about me, they never have. But it did sting to find out they don't care much about their own daughter either, and all she has done for them. After trying to talk to me and failing for a few days, I decided to change my strategy. I'm very close with a good friend of Roxy, let's call her Lena. She was the one who told me that her parents were asking her to think about divorce if I kept trying to kick them out. So I used Lena's help to get Roxy to listen to me. So one day she just came into our home and she had told her parents that she was going to threaten me to apologize to them. She asked me what I had to say to myself, and I quickly explained everything and showed her all the proof. She refused to believe that her dad could say something like this, but as she saw some more and more and more, she understood who was in the wrong. She starts to tear up and apologize to me for everything she did under her parents' manipulation, and she gets angry at them and could not believe that they would do something like this even after I tried to help them. Well, I forgave her. Obviously, it's not her fault, so getting mad at her was a moot point. She was ashamed that she had even started thinking about divorce because she believed that I was trying to force her parents out, thinking I hated them. I told her it's not your fault, Rox. And now she needed to do something for us. I told her about the paper and that it could cause some confusion, so I wanted to get direct proof that it's fake. I sent her back to her parents pretending that she was on their side. She then, while recording, asked him what they were doing about the property and how they got the paper. He showed her the fake paper and told her his plan was to use this and stay on the property and maybe use the threat of divorce to get it. She sent the video to me, and that was all I needed. So, I spoke to both John and Sarah in front of my wife and gave them a chance to apologize to the two of us, and I would let them stay for a month or a bit more. But they just laughed and asked me to leave my home. So I told them they had a day to leave or I would have them thrown out legally, and that was not going to be good. Dad then reminded me that he had papers. But then I showed him the video and the color drained on his face, and he looked at Roxy, who told him and Sarah that she was done believing their lies, and he asked her how she could do this, and she said the same way that he betrayed her. Since his trick blew up, John and Sarah left. They actually left with a lot of ego, believing they had other options, but not even 2 weeks later they were at my gate, begging to be let in. Both John and Sarah looked apologetic, at least on the screen, and said that they had learned their lesson. They were never going to do that again. I told them I was never going to make the same mistake either, and I refused to even see them. They spent a few hours outside and finally left. They also tried speaking with Roxy, but she's refused to talk to them at this point, and I can see that she's sad about that, but she knows what we're doing is right. I gave my in-laws a hand, and they tried to bite my whole property. I did the right thing, and I'm sure of it. Hopefully, I won't have to deal with them again.